My parents ambushed me with a real estate agent, then a lawyer, then used my 3-year-old nephew to guilt me into giving my house to my brother, because single people don't need space. Hi everyone! Today's story will blow your mind, but really quick, if you enjoy this content, hit that subscribe button. Channel's been a bit quiet lately, and your support keeps it all going. Let's jump in. I, 30M, never thought I'd be writing something like this, but I need to get this off my chest and maybe get some perspective from people who aren't emotionally invested in my family drama. This situation has been escalating for months now, and I'm at my wit's end. Let me start with some background. 2 years ago, I bought my first house, a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom colonial in a quiet suburb about 40 minutes outside the city. It's not a mansion by any means, but it's in a great neighborhood with good schools, mature trees, and that kind of peaceful atmosphere where kids still ride bikes on the sidewalks. The house needed some work when I bought it, but that was part of the appeal. I've spent the last 2 years renovating it bit by bit, turning it into exactly what I want. I work as a senior software engineer for a tech consulting firm. The pay is good, and I've been smart with my money since college. No expensive car, no lavish vacations, just steady saving and investing. When the opportunity came to buy this house, I had the down payment ready and qualified for a great mortgage rate. I was proud of myself. At 28, I was a homeowner. My older brother David, 35M, took a different path. He married his college sweetheart Michelle, 33F, right after graduation, and they've been living in a 1-bedroom apartment downtown ever since. It's a nice place in a trendy area, close to restaurants and nightlife, perfect for a young couple. 2 years ago, they had their son Nathan, and suddenly that 1-bedroom apartment started feeling a lot smaller. I love my nephew. He's a great kid, curious, funny, and absolutely obsessed with dinosaurs right now. I see him at family gatherings, and we get along well. But that's important context for what comes next. 6 weeks ago, we were having our regular Sunday dinner at my parents' house. My mom, 59F, had made her famous pot roast. Dad, 61M, was telling stories about his golf game, and everything seemed normal. Then, as I was helping clear the plates, my mom dropped the bomb. "You know, James," she said, in that casual tone that always precedes something decidedly not casual, "I've been thinking about the housing situation." "What housing situation?" I asked, genuinely confused. "Well, you're living alone in that big house while David and Michelle are cramped in their little apartment with Nathan. It just seems inefficient." I laughed, thinking she was joking. "Yeah, well, that's life, right? They chose their place, I chose mine." My dad chimed in from the living room. "But did you really need 3 bedrooms, son? You're not even dating anyone seriously." That stung a bit. "I date, just haven't found the right person yet." "But what does that have to do with my house?" "I use all the rooms, Dad. One's my bedroom, one's my home office, and one's a guest room. I work from home 3 days a week, remember?" "But David has a family," my mom continued, her voice taking on that particular tone. "Little Nathan needs space to grow, a yard to play in. That neighborhood you're in has such good schools." The penny dropped. "Are you suggesting I should give David my house?" "Not give," my dad said, walking into the kitchen. "Trade. David's apartment is worth quite a bit, and it's perfect for a single man like you. Downtown location, walkable to everything, modern amenities." I looked between them, waiting for someone to laugh, to say it was all a joke. But they were serious. Dead serious. "You want me to trade my house, the house I bought, renovated, and pay the mortgage on, for David's 1-bedroom apartment?" "It's not about want, honey," my mom said, using her reasonable voice. "It's about need. David needs more space. You're just one person rattling around in all those rooms." "Rattling around? Like I'm some kind of ghost haunting my own property." David and Michelle had been suspiciously quiet during this conversation. They were still in the dining room, but I could see them through the doorway. David was studying his coffee cup intently while Michelle bounced Nathan on her knee. "David," I called out, "do you have something to say about this?" He looked up, clearly uncomfortable. "I mean, Mom and Dad brought it up, not me. But I won't lie, James. That house would be perfect for us. Nathan could have his own room, we'd have a yard, the schools." "Then buy your own house," I said, my voice harder than I intended. "You know we can't afford it," Michelle spoke up. "Not with student loans and daycare costs. The market is insane right now." "That's not my problem," I replied. The room went cold. My mom's face flushed red, and my dad's jaw tightened. "Not your problem," my mom repeated. "Family isn't your problem." My family isn't entitled to my house. Entitled? My dad's voice rose. We're not talking about entitlement. We're talking about fairness. About family helping family. You have more than you need, and your brother doesn't have enough. In this family, we share. Sharing is lending someone $20 or helping them move, I shot back. Not giving them my fucking house. Language, my mom snapped. And we said trade, not give. David's apartment is beautiful. I don't want David's apartment. I want my house. The one I bought with my money that I earned. The argument spiraled from there. My mom actually used the phrase, selfish singles hoarding family homes, which felt like something she'd read in an article somewhere and had been waiting to deploy. My dad talked about traditional family values, and how real men provide for the family's needs, not just their own wants. At one point, Michelle started crying, holding Nathan and saying something about how they just wanted a good life for their son. Nathan, picking up on the tension, started crying too. It was emotional manipulation at its finest, though I don't think the toddler was in on it. I left early that night, too angry to trust myself to speak civilly. As I drove home, to my home, I couldn't believe what had just happened. My parents, the people who had always preached hard work and independence, were trying to guilt me into handing over my biggest achievement to my brother because, what? He had a kid. I was single. The next few days were a blur of angry texts and missed calls. My mom sent me articles about multi-generational living and family resource sharing. My dad left voicemails about disappointment and selfishness. David texted once, I didn't mean for it to blow up like that. Can we talk? I ignored them all. I needed time to process the sheer audacity of what they were asking. This wasn't some family heirloom being passed down or a shared vacation home. This was my primary residence. The place where I live, work, and plan to build my future. But then my mom texted something that made me agree to meet. Let's discuss this rationally. Just coffee, no pressure. I should have known better. Update 1. 1 week later. I agreed to meet my parents, thinking we could have a calm, rational discussion about boundaries. My mom suggested meeting at my house instead of a coffee shop, saying she wanted to talk privately. Against my better judgment, I agreed. Saturday morning, 10 a.m. sharp, my doorbell rang. I opened the door to find my parents, and a woman I'd never seen before, dressed in a sharp business suit and carrying a folder. James, my mom said brightly, as if this was perfectly normal, this is Patricia Coleman from Riverside Realty. We thought it would be helpful to have a professional opinion on the situation. I stood there, mouth open, as they brought a real estate agent to my house. Patricia, clearly unaware she was walking into a family disaster, extended her hand. So nice to meet you, James. Your parents have told me about the family property exchange you're considering. I've done several of these intra-family swaps, and I have to say, they can be wonderfully beneficial for everyone involved. I'm not considering anything, I managed to say. Oh, he's just being modest, my mom said, actually pushing past me into my house. James, where are your manners? Let Patricia in. I was so shocked that I actually stepped aside. They walked into my living room like they owned the place, and Patricia immediately started her pitch. Now, I've run comparisons on both properties, she said, pulling out papers from her folder. Your brother's apartment downtown is actually valued higher per square foot than this house. With the right structuring, this could be a very advantageous exchange for you, James. The tax benefits alone, my dad added, settling into my couch like this was a done deal. Patricia continued, apparently energized by what she thought was interest. The apartment is in a prime location for young professionals. You'd be walking distance from the business district, endless dining options, nightlife. I don't want nightlife, I interrupted. I want my house. My mom was already wandering around, gesturing at rooms. Patricia, let me show you the layout. This would be perfect for David's family. Oh, this room would make a wonderful nursery for the next baby. Next baby, I echoed. Well, they're planning for more children, my mom said casually, like this was common knowledge and further justification for stealing my house. Can't do that in a one-bedroom apartment. Patricia, finally picking up on the tension, looked between us uncertainly. Perhaps we should discuss the financials first? I have comparative market analyses for both properties. No, I said firmly. We're not discussing anything. This is my house. I'm not trading it, selling it, or sharing it. Mom, Dad, you need to leave. Now. James, don't be rude to Patricia, my dad scolded. She's taken time out of her Saturday to help us. To help you do what? Steal my house? Patricia, I'm sorry you were dragged into this, but my parents apparently hired you without my knowledge or consent. This isn't happening. Patricia's professionalism cracked slightly. Oh, they said this was a family decision that everyone was on board with. They lied. James, my mom gasped. We didn't lie. We're trying to facilitate a solution that works for everyone. Patricia, tell him about the tax advantages of... Get out. I shouted. All of you, get out of my house right now. Patricia gathered her papers quickly, mumbling apologies. She clearly realized she'd been brought into something deeply inappropriate. As she headed for the door, she whispered, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. My parents, however, weren't done. You're being completely irrational, my dad said, standing but not moving toward the door. We're trying to help you make a smart decision. No, you're trying to guilt me into giving my house to David. This is insane behavior. You're acting insane. My mom started crying. I never thought I'd raised such a selfish child. Your brother needs this house, James. His family needs it. And you're choosing property over blood. I'm choosing basic respect over manipulation. Leave now, or I'm calling the police. The police? My dad scoffed. On your parents? On trespassers who won't leave my property. They finally left, but not without my dad throwing one last barb. This isn't over. David's family deserves better than that cramped apartment, and you know it. After they left, I was shaking with anger. The sheer audacity of bringing a real estate agent to my house without my permission, touring her around like it was already David's. I couldn't wrap my head around it. I immediately called David. Did you know about the real estate agent? I demanded. There was a pause. Mom mentioned she might talk to someone, but I told her not to. Look, James, I'm sorry it went down like that. But since we're talking, maybe we could work something out? Like, you could rent our apartment and we could rent your house? That way you're not losing money, and we get the space we need. Are you serious right now? I'm just trying to find a compromise. Mom and Dad mean well, they just... I hung up on him. My brother, who I'd looked up to my whole life, was really trying to negotiate for my house while apologizing for our parents' ambush. I spent the rest of the day installing security cameras and changing my locks. I also sent a text to both parents. You are no longer welcome at my house without an explicit invitation. Do not come here again. The family group chat exploded. My mom had apparently told everyone her version of events, where I had violently thrown them out for trying to help. Cousins were asking what was going on. My Aunt Margaret posted that she couldn't believe I was hoarding a family home while poor little Nathan suffered in a tiny apartment. I muted the chat. If they wanted to paint me as the villain for keeping my own property, so be it. But I was done playing nice. Update 2, 6 weeks later. After the real estate agent incident, I went low contact with my parents and David. I blocked them on social media after my mom posted a passive-aggressive article about how modern selfishness is destroying families, with a caption about how some people value material possessions over family bonds. I focused on work, started a new project renovating my basement into a home gym, and even began dating someone, Sarah, a marketing manager I met through mutual friends. She was appalled when I told her the story and has been incredibly supportive. For a while, things were quiet. Too quiet, as it turned out. Last Tuesday, I came home from dinner with Sarah to find an envelope taped to my front door. Not in the mailbox, taped to the door. I recognized my father's handwriting. Inside was a formal letter from a law firm, Brennan, Associates and Partners. My parents had actually retained a lawyer. The letter was professionally written but absolutely insane in content. It outlined several proposed solutions to the intrafamily housing dispute, including 1. A straight exchange of properties between James and David, with appropriate financial adjustments for any value differential. 2. James selling the house to David at a family discount rate of 70% market value. 3. Adding David as a co-owner on the deed with primary residence rights, while I would retain secondary occupancy options. 4. Creating a family trust that would own both properties, with a board of trustees, my parents and David, determining occupancy based on family need assessments conducted annually. Each option was detailed with legal precedents, tax implications, and implementation timelines. The letter concluded with a note that while these were suggestions for amicable resolution, the family was prepared to explore all available legal remedies to ensure equitable distribution of family resources. I immediately called my own lawyer. Thankfully, I'd already consulted one after the real estate agent fiasco. He read the letter and actually laughed. "This is complete nonsense," he assured me. "They have no legal standing whatsoever. You own the house outright. This is just intimidation tactics. But keep documenting everything. If they escalate to harassment, we'll need evidence." I thought that was the worst of it. I was wrong. My cousin Lisa called me yesterday in tears. She'd attended Sunday dinner, I'd been boycotting them since this all started, and my parents had outdone themselves. They had created a PowerPoint presentation. A fucking PowerPoint. Title: The Importance of Family Resource Allocation, a Case Study. According to Lisa, it included photos comparing David's cramped, unsuitable apartment to my underutilized house, statistics about childhood development and the importance of space, pictures Nathan had drawn of houses with yards, clearly coached, a breakdown of how each room in my house was used, with suggestions for better allocation, quotes from various sources about family values, generosity, and the danger of materialism, a slide calculating the wasted potential of a single person in a 3-bedroom house, a chart showing how my bachelor lifestyle was incompatible with family-sized housing. The presentation concluded with a slide showing 2 paths, one where I chose family and everyone was happy, and one where I chose selfishness and ended up alone and bitter. Lisa said the extended family was obviously uncomfortable, but my parents presented it completely seriously. They even had handouts. My mom apparently said I was too ashamed to face the family, and that my absence was evidence of his guilty conscience. David was there with Michelle and Nathan. According to Lisa, he looked embarrassed but didn't stop them. At one point, Michelle mentioned that Nathan had been asking why Uncle James had a big house while they lived in a small apartment, which was definitely coached. The worst part? My parents ended by announcing they were prepared to take whatever steps necessary to ensure appropriate housing for all family members, and that they hoped I would see reason before permanent damage occurred. I've never felt more vindicated in my decision to skip family dinners. Sarah asked me last night if I was okay, and honestly, I'm not. It's one thing to have your parents disapprove of your choices. It's another to have them actively campaign against you, turning your entire extended family against you over property they have no claim to. I'm looking into restraining orders. My lawyer says I might not qualify yet, but to keep documenting. I've also started therapy because this whole situation has me questioning everything about my family relationships. The irony is, before all this started, I probably would have helped David buy a house eventually. Maybe co-signed a loan or helped with a down payment. But now, after they've tried to manipulate, guilt, and legally intimidate me into giving up my home, that bridge is thoroughly burned. Update 3, 4 months later. This is my final update, and what a wild ride it's been to get here. I've debated whether to share this because it's so absurd, but you've all been following this saga, so here's the conclusion. After my last update, things went quiet for about 6 weeks. No texts, no surprise visits, no PowerPoints at family dinners. I was still getting reports from Lisa. I should have known they were planning something big. 3 weeks ago, on a Thursday evening, my doorbell rang at 8 p.m. Through my security camera, I could see my parents, David, Michelle, and a man in a suit I didn't recognize. Nathan wasn't with them, thankfully. I almost didn't answer, but something, maybe morbid curiosity, made me open the door. I kept the chain on though. "James," my father said formally, "we need to have a family meeting. This is Mr. Peterson, our attorney." They brought their attorney to my house for a family meeting. "If you don't have a warrant, you need to leave," I said. "Please, honey," my mom pleaded, her eyes actually tearing up. "Just hear us out. We've found a solution that works for everyone. Just give us 10 minutes. Sarah was at her place, and I had my phone recording in my pocket. Against every instinct, I let them in. They filed into my living room with the solemnity of people attending a funeral. Mr. Peterson immediately pulled out a thick folder and began what was clearly a rehearsed presentation. They had drawn up actual legal documents for their solution. The proposal was even more insane than their previous suggestions. They wanted to create a family trust that would own both properties. The trust would be managed by 3 trustees, my parents and David. Every 5 years, the trustees would assess the family housing needs and allocate properties accordingly. So right now, Mr. Peterson explained, as if this was reasonable, David's family would be allocated the house due to their greater space needs. James would be allocated the apartment as it suits his current lifestyle. But in 5 years, if circumstances change, the trust would reassess. "And what if I have a family by then?" I asked, playing along to see how far they'd thought this through. "Then the trustees would determine if your need supersedes David's," my mom said eagerly, clearly thinking I was considering it. And if the trustees, which include David, decide his need is still greater? Then you'd continue in the apartment, my father said. But at least you'd have the security of knowing family property is being used efficiently. Efficiently, I repeated. And what if I never have a family? Then you'd never need the house, my mom said, as if stating an obvious fact. A single person doesn't need 3 bedrooms. Mr. Peterson continued explaining legal mechanisms, tax benefits, and how this was common in many cultures around the world. He actually used the phrase, from each according to their ability, to each according to their needs, which I'm pretty sure is a communist slogan. Then came the emotional manipulation portion of the evening. Nathan drew something for you, Michelle said sweetly, pulling out a folded paper. He wanted to give it to Uncle James himself, but it's past his bedtime. She handed me a crayon drawing of a house with stick figures in front. In a child's scrawl, but clearly guided by an adult hand, it said, Uncle James' house at the top. The stick figures were labeled Mommy, Daddy, me, and Baby Sister. Baby Sister? I asked. We're trying for another child, Michelle said, placing a hand on her stomach in what was clearly a rehearsed gesture. But we can't in the apartment. There's no room. Then move, I said flatly. We can't afford, David started. Then don't have another child, I interrupted. Family planning includes financial planning. Your reproductive choices aren't my responsibility. The room went silent. My mom gasped as if I'd slapped her. How can you be so cold? She whispered. How can you be so entitled? I countered. You're literally trying to steal my house because David decided to have kids he can't afford to house properly. Steal is a strong word, Mr. Peterson interjected. This is a family arrangement. That I don't consent to, I said. Making it theft. Or attempted theft. Which I'm sure the Bar Association would love to hear about. Mr. Peterson's face paled slightly. Get out, I said quietly. All of you. Get out of my house. And Mr. Peterson? If any of these documents come near me again, my attorney will be filing harassment charges and reporting you to the State Bar for assisting in an attempted fraudulent property transfer. David stood up angrily. We're trying to be fair here, James. You have more than you need. According to who? I shot back. You, Mom. The committee of people who think they can decide what I deserve based on my marital status. You're destroying this family, my father declared, also standing. Your nephew is suffering because of your selfishness. My nephew is fine, I said. Millions of kids grow up in apartments. If you're so concerned about his suffering, why don't you give David your house? That stopped him short. We're retired. We need our house. And I'm working. I need my house. The hypocrisy is stunning. As they filed toward the door, my mom turned for one last shot. You'll regret this, James. When you're old and alone, you'll remember how you chose property over family. I chose respect over manipulation, I replied. There's a difference. Michelle was crying now, clutching the drawing. How can you do this to us? We're family. Family doesn't try to steal from each other, I said. Family doesn't ambush each other with lawyers. Family doesn't use children as emotional weapons. You're not acting like family. You're acting like con artists who happen to share my DNA. They left, and I immediately called my lawyer. He drafted a cease and desist letter that was sent the next day, explicitly stating that any further attempts to coerce property transfer would result in legal action. The fallout was swift. I was immediately disinvited from all family gatherings. The family group chat, which I still had muted, apparently exploded with my mom's version of events, where I had threatened to have them arrested for caring too much. Several relatives unfriended me on social media. According to Lisa, I'm now known as the selfish uncle who hates children. But here's the thing, I'm okay with it. The relief I feel not having to deal with their manipulation anymore far outweighs any sadness about losing these relationships. They showed me who they really are, people who see me not as a person worthy of respect, but as a resource to be redistributed according to their perceived needs. Sarah has been amazing through all of this. She says it's like I've had a tumor removed, painful but necessary. My friend group has rallied around me, and I've realized that chosen family can be more supportive than blood relatives who only see your value in what they can take from you. 2 weeks ago, I got a text from David. I want you to know I never wanted it to go this far. Mom and Dad pushed everything. Maybe when things cool down, we can talk. I haven't responded. What would be the point? He could have shut this down at any moment. He could have said, "No, Mom, I'm not taking James's house." Instead, He participated in every ambush, brought his child as a prop, and sat in my living room while a lawyer explained how to legally steal my property. He was complicit every step of the way. Last week, I updated my will. Previously, my assets would have been divided among family members. Now, everything goes to 3 charities I support, with a specific clause stating that no blood relative is to receive any portion of my estate. Petty, perhaps. But I want it crystal clear that they destroyed any claim to my property the moment they tried to take it while I was still alive. I've also started therapy to process the grief of losing my family. My therapist says what they did was a form of financial abuse combined with emotional manipulation. She's helped me understand that their escalation, from comments to real estate agents to lawyers, shows a pattern of narcissistic behavior where they genuinely believe they're entitled to what others have earned. The house has become my sanctuary now more than ever. I finished the basement gym, started a garden in the backyard, and am planning to renovate the kitchen next year. Every improvement I make feels like a small victory against people who thought they could take it from me. Sarah and I are planning a housewarming party next month for my real family, the friends who've supported me through this insanity. We're calling it a Still My House party, which might be petty, but I've earned a little pettiness. To everyone who said they'd eventually show their true colors, you were absolutely right. They went from hints to ambush to legal threats in just a few months. The escalation was breathtaking in its audacity. For anyone dealing with similar family entitlement, document everything. Get security. Get a lawyer. And remember, no is a complete sentence. You don't owe anyone your success, your property, or your life choices just because you share DNA. My house remains my house. My life remains my life. And if that makes me the family villain, so be it. I'd rather be a villain with boundaries than a victim without them. Final edit, 1 month later. I truly thought I was done updating this saga, but the universe had one more twist in store. David's apartment building was sold to developers who are converting all units to condos. Tenants were given the option to buy their unit at market rate or vacate within 60 days. Given downtown prices, buying wasn't an option for David and Michelle. Guess who called me yesterday? James, I know things have been bad between us, but we're in a really tough spot. Could we stay with you for just a few months while we look for a new place? Fucking audacity. Let me get this straight, I said, trying not to laugh. After you tried to steal my house, ambushed me with real estate agents and lawyers, and turned the family against me, you want to move in? That was mostly Mom and Dad. David protested. Look, we're desperate. Nathan needs stability, and with Michelle pregnant. Michelle's pregnant? Yeah, 3 months. We just found out. James, please. I'm begging you. Just for a few months. David, according to our parents, I don't deserve this house because I'm single. According to you, it should be yours because you have a family. So why would I let you live in a house that apparently shouldn't even be mine? Come on, don't be like that. We're brothers. We're brothers, I corrected. You lost that claim when you sat in my living room while a lawyer explained how to steal my property. When you used your son to manipulate me. When you chose greed over our relationship. So you're really going to let us be homeless? You're not going to be homeless. You're adults with jobs. You'll find housing like millions of other people do. Maybe Patricia, the real estate agent, can help. You all seem to think she was so helpful before. He hung up on me. 20 minutes later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered it. Your brother is going to be homeless with a pregnant wife and a toddler because of your selfishness. My mother's shrieking voice could probably be heard from space. No, he's going to have to find appropriate housing for his family size and budget, like a responsible adult. They can't afford. Then maybe they shouldn't have gotten pregnant again. Family planning, Mom. Look it up. You're a monster. A selfish, heartless monster. I hope you're happy in that big empty house all alone. I am, actually, very happy. It's peaceful. No one tries to steal it. It's wonderful. She screamed something incoherent before I hung up and blocked the number. Last night, Sarah and I hosted a dinner party in MY dining room. 6 friends came over, and we laughed, ate good food, and enjoyed each other's company. At one point, my friend Marcus raised his glass and said, "To James, for showing us all how to stand up to bullshit, even when it comes from family." As I looked around my table, in my house, surrounded by people who respect me and my choices, I realized something. This is my family now. The people who support me, not despite my success, but because of who I am. The people who would never dream of taking what I've earned. The people who understand that love isn't measured by what you can extract from someone. David, Michelle, and Nathan will figure out their housing situation. My parents will either realize their mistake or die mad about it. Either way, it's no longer my problem. My house remains my house. My life remains my own. And that's exactly how it should be. To everyone who followed this journey, stand your ground. Trust your instincts. And never, ever let anyone convince you that what you've earned isn't really yours. Whether you're single, married, childless, or have 10 kids, your property is your property. Period. Thanks for reading. Now if you'll excuse me, I have a guest room to convert into a library. Because I can. Because it's my house.